Test 1 2 3 3 2 1. We are live in a few. Let's first check if YouTube is on. Right, YouTube has established connection and we are ready to go in. So we'll be backtesting silver bullet entries and doing a full analysis. So I had a small reflection with my brother Gilbert, who give some insights on how I should improve my trading. So basically, first see how, before we got to what time are we? It's Wednesday. Let's go to Thursday on the silver bullet, which means it's at 3. Yeah, so let's do the analysis now. All right, I'd like to first go to the daily. So we can go with this. On the daily, you can see that we are in an uptrend, and I would like to hide these news, but no need. All right, so you can see we were in a downtrend, then we shifted structure and then went in an uptrend. And in this uptrend, you can see that we had some kind of consolidation inside here, but after a while we broke out, pushed above critical fair value gap, retraced into it, and then started to push higher, which means the next possible thing is to get a retracement after this BOS on the daily time frame. So first off, we have a break of structure here. Now going to the 4 hour, you can see that we have this low taken out, we have our shift, and this low was taken out at a good fair value gap. I think the daily, this would be like a clean fair value gap. You can see it right here, very clean fair value gap. So this is a daily fair value gap. And now I think I just wanted to be seen on the daily. Yeah. And now when we go to the 4 hour, you can see that we were in a 4 hour fair value gap. We swept, a daily fair value gap. We swept up these lows. We shifted structure, and maybe we might get a retracement into this gap and then continue to push higher. So that's the higher time frame analysis. You can see we have a really good 4 hour fair value gap. So it's a 4H fair value gap, and I think this is okay. So now when I go to the 1 hour, maybe we would like to see a drop, and if we don't see a drop, then maybe we might trade the continuation, and by trading the continuation, we might have to target some liquidity levels resting right here. And by liquidity levels, I mean daily highs. So let's see, like this is a daily high that will be targeted, this is a daily high, this is a daily high, and so on. So we'll see how it reacts. Let's now go to the hourly time frame. You can see we have this huge impulsive candle to the upside. So I'll just wait to see what market does and then enter off of it. The direction I have in mind is to drop, to push down to this POI. And now I'll go to the 5 minute, because that's where I'll be waiting for my entry. And silver bullet will just start. Wow, wait a minute. So on the 4 hour, you create this big candle, and as we open, you can see we took out a low with a really high volatility candle. So it's consolidating for this day. You can see it's going sideways. Let's see what the kill zones brings in. Okay, nice. Now we can see that we drop, which means we have a market shift. I think this low was because of the news. I don't know. It's crazy week. And on the 15 minute, how does it look? We have a fair value gap inside there on the 15 minute. and you can see that we retrace into the 15-minute fair value gap. You can see right here. After this, market shift from these lows, which means here we would like to take some sales to first take out this liquidity resting right there, and since we're in the kill zone, this wouldn't be a bad time to take the trade. So this, we have this fair value gap. Anyways, we were a bit late to the entry, but basically this will be our entry. Enter off of the rejection as the candle is dropping. It's like catching a falling knife, so a stop loss will be somewhere there. And then you would like to target these lows. Yeah, giving you almost a 4R. So this is not a silver bullet entry, but we entered like in the kill zone after the analysis. Okay, we get stopped out immediately, but you can see we had the rejection that we were waiting for. So let's see. Ooh, now this is nice. Okay, I think we should have waited for this instead, because now I can see a pattern printing itself. You can see that we swept out these highs. A sweep is really necessary. Then we shifted structure on this low. Now I'd like to use the 5-minute here, so you can see how it rejects. So you can see we start rejecting, which means here we at least would enter this trade. This is really risky. Anyways, we target these lows 1 to 2. Let's risk again that. So let's see how this goes. So this one also ends up as a stop out. Looks like market doesn't want to drop, so maybe we shouldn't take any more trades this day, but instead wait for the next day to print out and see how this day goes. So the next day opened right there, and we can see a really clear consolidation going on the daily. You can see that this candle was bearish and had long wicks that are bigger than the body, which means that yeah, this day was a really messy one to trade. So as the next day starts, I still have the dropping direction in mind. I still want it to drop, but if I still had the entry here open, because I entered somewhere here, maybe stop loss should have been above this high. That means targeting here would give me like a full 2R, but will take profit still be hit, considering that the trade would run overnight? Yeah, take profit would be hit, obviously. This is really nice. Okay, maybe what I should learn from this trade is that these times are volatile. I should maybe put the stop loss a bit higher, but we'll see. Anyways, I'd like to see to backtest NAS 100 on that kind of plate. So wait to remove the session. Anyways, so I want to backtest. Let's trade NQ. I'd like to go to the weekly first. You can see that we were in an uptrend. We started an corrective move. The downside, you can see that we're dropping, and which means that on the weekly we have a bearish bias, but on the daily you can see that we are trying to shift. By that you can see that we have, you know, a low taken out right here, good liquidity raid, and you can see that we have a clear market shift here, and we also have a daily fair value gap. We are in a daily fair value gap, and you can see we reached the midpoint of the daily fair value gap. And when we go to the 4 hour, by the way, I think I had to remove this. This can be viewed anywhere. Maybe say from the minutes. So when I go to the 4 hour, I can also see another small pattern printing itself. While we are in the daily, we took out this low again, and this low was from Tuesday, which means it's a daily low. Yeah, it's a daily low taken out here. We took out this daily low. Good sweep in liquidity, which means it's something really fractal. Then when I go on the 1 hour, we will maybe wait for a shift above these highs and then take the trade. But that means that we will wait for the trade on the next day, because I think New York session is already about to end. The best way to position yourself in a trade for this day will be at least here, because you can see here we took out the previous day high, you can see it. So the only positioning yourself, I mean, is find an entry model inside this move, which means that you would first spot this, that we took out the high. Now let's see if there's like anything that shows up. So first you can see it pushed higher, like after taking out the previous day low, then it shifted right here. We didn't get any kind of retracement other than this one, well, a small poke into the gap. And how is the 1 minute looking like? 2 minute. Well, the 1 minute did this kind of, I don't know, tracement into that gap, but I don't think I can base off of that 1 minute to enter a trade. So we'll just basically wait for the next day to see if we push higher. So I'd like to go to the next day and see what happens. So nothing happens overnight, obviously. Let's see what happens during London. So since we started a new day, maybe I'd see like a raid on these lows and then a continuous push. By the way, you can see that we created a high, like a lower high, which we closed above it, which means like you can find a way to position yourself inside this time window as silver bullet, because between 3 and 4 here, maybe there might be an entry, but this will be the morning morning silver bullet. No entry was provided there. Going back on the 15 minute, you can see that we had a really good fair value gap in here. We rejected it hardly. You can see how good these rejections were, which means entering, we would enter somewhere in here and then continue to target the upside. So that would mean something like this, entering there on these rejections, probably this candle, then your stop loss will be under the first candle of the gap and you'll be targeting right there. But will this work out? Well, kill zones consolidate and 9:30 open drops us. Okay, let's see what happens. Still have a bullish bias in mind. We take out the lows from yesterday, and now I think we can find a way to position ourselves in these next moves. So 5 minutes is not really clear, but I can see a small gap that we're rejecting. I can see this. You can see we have a small fair value gap right there that we're rejecting from after this raid. You can see like after this raid we get a internal shift and we trace into the fair value gap and start rejecting. So let's see how this candle goes in slow motion. You can see it starts to fly. So you can enter while this candle is printing, but here we will be a bit late. So entering there would be better, but since we're late, yeah, you have to accept the problems of being late. So obviously your target will be these highs, or even the other highs that might be there, like these ones resting there, because it's an obvious level of liquidity. And I think that would be how I want the day. I would like the day to go, and going on the 15-minute standpoint. Later on we can target that one as well. So I'd like to go to the 5 minute and take this trade. Wait a minute, I risked 0.3. That's crazy. I should have risked 2%. Yeah, risk error. I'll take the screenshot and I'll save it. So let's see how this trade goes. Whoa, what was that? Okay, you can see that we end up hitting take profit there. Oh, I think here we should close our partials. It's 11:10, so I think that's all for the day. We risked way too less, but I think it will even continue to push higher and take out the highs that are resting somewhere there. Look at this. How clean does this look? Yeah, this is really nice. This is really nice. Yeah, which means that this trade holding it will give you a 4.2R. So this is nice. And when we look on the closes of the candles, these candles closed slightly below the gap, but you can see they respected the gap even though we had this crazy wicks inside. Anyways, let's go to the next day. So the reason I just pushed the next day is because most of the times overnight is just some consolidation, and so far since we have reached our target, you can see that we were really bullish. I would now like, you can see how clean this looks. Let me go to the 4 hour. Okay, yeah, we're already on the 4 hour. You can see that we swept, shifted, and then we hit the daily fair value gap on the daily. You can see we respected this daily fair value gap, and then on this exact candle we had our push, which is really nice. So what are we going to target next? The next thing is, it's possible that we might hit this order block and then reverse. So I'll be possibly looking for buys until maybe we reach a certain level, like in the midpoint of this order block, like at least here, and then if it continues we can hold, but I still have a bullish bias in mind. Then I'll go to the 4 hour. So you can see it's the same thing. We swept again, we shifted structure there, and we have a fair value gap. So the next day is basically a drop into this fair value gap right there. So before we do that, I'd like to go to 4 hour and find a way to mark that fair value gap. So after this market shift, you can see we already pushed higher. So I'd like to mark this gap because it will be a potential retracement into the gap, and then we push higher. So we have a 4 hour fair value gap right there. Now I'll go to the 1 hour. since it's the start of the new day, it's Friday, you might get a retracement back into the range. And a retracement back into the range basically means if we open up the week like a bit bearish, we'll push high. Like this will be Monday, then Monday or Tuesday, then Wednesday and Thursday we'll have this big expansion, and then Friday will be returning us into the range. So like this short move, we can see if we can get that move on this day. Yeah. Right, so let's see if we can get some pushes. Right, so it's Friday, 3rd June. So you can see we start dropping by a small bit. So I would like to see maybe an internal rate on liquidity before I find this entry useful. So like maybe an sweep on these highs, then a continuous drop to the fair value gap. It's somewhere in here. I don't think I included it in the minutes anyways, so I'll wait there. So you can see instead of having clear sweeps, we're just creating fair value gaps, retracing into the gaps, creating fair value gaps and dropping into them. So you can see like here, push in the gap, we drop, push higher, we drop. So we have some news today though. It's NFP day. You can see how NFP goes, takes out these highs, and on the 15-minute you can see we took out these highs and retraced into that gap, and we created this gap and then retraced into it at 9 in the morning, which means this is a potential opportunity to continuously drop. But I think we are already in the 4-hour fair value gap, as you can see, as we were planning. So I don't know why this gap was invisible at okay, well, we had hidden it, but you can see that this is a clean drop to the fair value gap. So maybe we might anticipate like a full drop into like this last bearish candle, which would act as another block before we continuously push higher, which means on the 15-minute I'll just basically be looking for this reaction, this fast sweep inside, and then I'd go the 5-minute where I'm seeing this shift in structure, and going back to 15-minute, I can see okay, I really need to remove this, but no need to mind that. We have this gap. I'll make it red so you can see retrace into it and then start dropping. So this falling knife can enter it as we see the rejection, with a stop loss being at the open of this candle, near the open, and then maybe target the order block on the 4-hour, where the order block opens right here. Oops, I'd like to mark the open of this last bear, like here. Going to the 15 minutes, that will be like some place to target. So this will be trading like post news, and we have some other news at 10, so you can take this entry. Okay, so you save this and let's see how this goes. So you can see end up hitting take profit, which was that order block resting below there, and we start to push higher, and this push higher was like another potential opportunity to enter, as we pushed into the gap and then drops tremendously. This is really looking nice. I think I should be basing off of the 4-hour now, but you can see how good clean the 4-hour drops into this auto block kind of structure, which means that the next thing we would expect is, you know, a push to the upside. Okay, this is looking nice. So let's go to the next day, because if I find this trade, then why would I stay in the charts? I don't want to overtrade. So let's go to the next day, which will be basically Monday, and you can see that on next Monday, let's go to the silver bullet. Right, this is nice. Let me remove this. These images are becoming way too much. Okay, maybe let's remain with it, that daily fair value gap. So you can see that after this drop on this order block right here, this last down close candle, maybe let's mark it some kind of purple, which is a 4-hour order block. And how does it look on the daily? Wow, these candles are really, you know, they're looking great, that nice. But let's see what happens. Anyways, let's go to the 15-minute. So we're in the morning, and you can see that we're respecting the gap. So first, what I'd like to see today is just a run on stops, run on liquidity, and then a potential push to the upside. So we get the push, but we didn't get the what we were waiting for. We wanted to see a kind of like liquidity raid, so we haven't got one yet. So maybe this might be the Judas swing of the day, and we continue to drop. Alright, so you can see the 9:30. At 8:30 we got something small. 8:30 would have provided something not that big. I had this sweep internally, in shifted structure, returned into some kind of like inversion, but I don't think this market is not giving clear conditions, because I was thinking of this kind of inversion, but I just don't think it's giving any kind of entry, because you can't even get 1 to 2 in this, because stop loss will be resting there, and you'd have like a 1 to 2 will be provided, but the market isn't really clear. And the clear random stops, which we got on the 15-minute, we took up these lows. Oh, and we dropped into this fair value gap. And how does it look on the 1 hour? On the 1 hour, we dropped into this gap essentially. So now we'll look at the 15. And I mean on the 5 and see like a clean shift and a fair value gap retracement. So you can see that we close above this recent high, which is a good, you know, shift in structure. And now you can see retrace into this good fair value gap on the 15-minute. Is not that clear, but you can see we have this clean sweep right here, and we have a shift in structure at this high. And now when I got the 5-minute, you can see we dropped into this fair value gap, but honestly I'd prefer this one instead, because it's the one that's in the, you know, this, it's near the OT zone and it's in discount. So let's see if we can wait for it. Alright, this is it. It happens at 11, and you can see we drop nicely into that gap. Let's see how if we get a rejection. So we don't get a rejection, which means entry has been invalidated. We won't take any of these moves. And I would like to go on the high time frame to see how why it's behaving like this. So first off, let's just go to the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, you can see that we're respecting this fair value gap resting in here, which means that this is a nice move. We had a small run on stops. The 1 hour, maybe it will be clear, or the 2 hour, because we took out these highs. But yeah, it's not that clear, but it took out some highs. I think it's session liquidity because these are the London highs. After taking out the London highs, we started to drop on the 1 hour. So maybe our next stop would be these lows from Friday, which means that the reason market isn't bullish is because we have a POI here, and the reason I would be looking for sales is to take out this liquidity before at least seeing a move to the upside, because I still believe we can push to the upside. Anyways, go to the 5 minute. Let's see how this goes. So first off, these levels are doing too much. Let me hide some. So first remove this. We are in the daily fair value gap, and I think we just need to see it daily now, and we just want to focus on this 4 hour fair value gap. Right now, when I got the 15 minute, you can see that we take out this high. No, we created liquidity instead, but we shifted as a reaction on that high. Then we started to drop tremendously. And we got a small retracement into this gap before this crazy drop at lunch hour. The only time I would enter this trade is at least if we reach, OTE level. At least if we reach this level inside here in this gap, maybe I'd look for sales. But since we haven't took out these lows from Friday, that means that the liquidity is still available. And if you get an opportunity while we're still in session, why not take it? Okay, looks like it won't reach there. Let's just wait and see how market prints. Okay, this is nice. You see, you end up taking Friday's lows, and you can see that Friday's lows have been taken out. So which means the next sell side liquidity staying will be these lows on Thursday. So it's a new week. Wait, it's Tuesday. Yeah, we're still on a new day. And one thing I'd like to mark is, okay, this day was quite bearish, but I'd like to mark some stuff. So this is Tuesday. Yeah, you can see how Monday had a really long week, which is showing us signs that we are about to drop, and our next stop will be this sell side liquidity for us to take out. So I'll go to the 15 minute now. Alright, so we see a run on stops at 3 in the morning. Then I got the 1 hour. How is it looking like? So we have these order blocks resting in here, but they're not. Let's see if we reach out to them. Okay, so 5 minute. Oish. We see this clean drop, retracement to a fair value gap. You can see a rejection right here, which means this is a potential entry, and another entry comes here, reject entry. So let's see if there is another entry presented. Boom, no other entry presented after this at 6:15. You can see that we have this fair value gap, and the reason I consider this trade is nice is because we took out these highs from yesterday, even though they weren't the ultimate highs, but they were like strong highs. But you can also consider this high which was taken out here. We shifted structure here, retraced into a gap inside here, and then dropped massively. This is really nice, considering that our drawn liquidity was there. We would have caught an entry if you caught it right there, and your stop loss will be above like this high, and you target this high. That's good for our, you can see how clean this trade looks. Right, you can see we tag out sell side. We didn't get the entry, but this was a really good analysis. So let's see how this looks. You can see we run on the sell stops. And maybe for the next day, which is Wednesday, then we'd like to see an expansion to the upside after taking out this loss. Let's see how this goes. So we'll hit TP by 8, which means we might even continue to expand since the day hasn't ended yet. Let us see. All right, so we get a really good push at 9:30 after taking out those lows from Friday, and we have a shift structure on this high right there, and I don't think it's that clear on the 15-minute. So let's see. The 15-minute doesn't give a clear shift, but we can see one here. So the only time we would enter is if we come into this fair value gap again. So do we? Okay, let us see. How about this move? What time is it? It's 12:30. And from this low to this high, you can see we haven't reached discount yet. So let's wait for discount. So day ends without an entry, but it's okay, even though we found some good opportunities that were resting in the day. Like one good opportunity is, wait a minute, about this move, like from this low to this high, we do reach midpoint, we tapped into discount a bit, then flew, and on the 5-minute, did we get an OTE? On the 5-minute, we actually got an OTE. You can see entry inside here. It rallies. Maybe it close somewhere here or on this high, because that will be the only draw. But it's not a problem that we didn't take any entry that day. Just be waiting for another time. So let's go basically to the next day. Okay, so we have this low swept out. And we've shifted structure here. This is on the 1 hour. You can see shift the structure here, shift structure here, shift structure here, because this candle closed above. But we have a good POI there, so which means I can't just take this entry. You have to still wait to see what happens. Okay, so the silver bullet, what do we see on the silver bullet? Well, I'd like to go to the 30-minute, but the 2 hour, or the 3 hour, or the 4 hour. Okay, the reason I'm like navigating these time frames is because the 4 hour has this auto block which means we would like to drop and rebalance this price move, or at least fill this gap before pushing higher in London, in New York session. So going on the 15-minute, we are in a crazy order block and a good fair value gap. We have a clean sweep on this high, but we didn't get a clean shift. Okay, we got the shift inside here. I think I'd like to see this on the 30-minute. All right, on the 30-minute it will be clear. We have these highs swept out, and we got an internal shift right here, and we are in currently a good fair value gap, which means you can enter just right here, or wait for the 5-minute to give you another entry in and you can see that we are rejecting according to how these wicks are looking like. You can see that we are dropping heavily. So let's catch this knife. Stop loss right there, and our target is at least to reach the midpoint of the move, because you can see that from here to here we have midpoint there, and this is the fair value gap. So this will be like our mirror target for the time being. And on the 15-minute, you can see that it will be like a liquidity level we'll be targeting. So let's take this trade. We're a bit late. Okay, let's see how this goes. So we end up hitting stop loss. Didn't turn out to be good, but it's not bad. I still think we're going to drop because we have a crazy, we have a big order block, a 4-hour order block right here. You can see this big thing. I'd like to mark at least maybe the bodies only to make it maybe more clear, but yeah, this is the order block I think we're going to reject on before we drop. And the reason I think we want to drop is to rebalance this price move and then at least continue to the upside, because we have a sweep, a shift in structure, maybe retracement into some POI here, and then we push higher. So we get a run on liquidity there, and another one here. This one's a clean one. Okay, so with disrespect to the POI, and I think I'll be stopping the session here because I've got another meeting to attend, but this was a nice one on NAS 100. So until we meet again tomorrow.